Today I'm going to talk about what it means to fall out of integrity with one's self. And that may not make sense, but I'm sure that you have experienced it on some level. And as I talk about it more and more, you're going to realize that what I'm talking about sucks, should be avoided at all costs, and you'll get a clearer sense of how you can avoid it in future. So, what am I talking about here? Integrity. Integrity, in this context, I'm just talking about yourself, being true to oneself, knowing what's right for you, and embodying that, being the correct version of you, and not tolerating things that you shouldn't be. To fall out of integrity with oneself in this context, therefore means that you're putting up with things that you shouldn't. You compromise your boundaries, you let stuff in that you just shouldn't be letting in, or you just do something that the real you would never do. Now, let me give you an example of this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. The best example I have of this semi-recently, from something that happened to me semi-recently, is that a very dear friend of mine had their relationship disintegrated. Quite a long one, quite an intense one, and it fell apart. And the fallout of it was pretty messy. This person reached out to me, wanting some advice, wanting some input, and I was so happy to oblige. One of the things that they were trying to determine was how were they showing up in the interactions that they were having with that person? Were they carrying themselves well? Were they saying the correct things? Or were all of the things that the other person was saying in their anger and in their hatred correct? This was a very loving person and a caring person who just wanted to get things right for themselves and for the other person who wasn't really doing their best job. That aside, one time this friend of mine showed me a string of text messages that they'd had, and they asked me to give them some feedback on how they'd conducted themselves. They showed me this big long list, and it just went on and on and on, and they said, I think I had good boundaries here, and I think that was a smart thing, and all of this. And to be honest, they conducted themselves fairly well. But at the end of the day, how they conducted themselves didn't really matter. Because they walked away from this interaction feeling compromised, not feeling good. They knew that something had gone wrong here. That's why they asked for feedback. And again, good on this person for taking responsibility. As we looked through it, and as I looked through it, I spoke to them on the phone and I had the messages in front of me. And I saw the things that they said, and I said, you did this well and that was good. But let's be clear, it was really long. It went on and on and on. I said, this was good and that bit was good and blah, blah, blah. But here's what I did. I got this friend to look at this huge long string of messages, and I asked him to go to the top and read until he got to the point of the conversation that he didn't want to be in there anymore. And I said, as soon as you get to that point, stop and tell me. Let's say it was this long. He started reading and he went to about here. So I'm going to go about that far. Again, this long of a message. And I said to him, that even though you said this well and this well and this well, it didn't matter. Because if you draw or imagine an imaginary red line across there, that was the moment that you should have left the conversation. And everything that you said after that point, you were out of integrity with yourself. For him, that really landed. And I felt like I had done a pretty good job at illustrating something quite important. And from that point, he was able to better characterize and recognize times that he should remove himself from something and just not even be there in the first place. Now, I'm the same, and I'm sure you're the same in so many other ways. There will be times in your life, and there are times in my life, where I, with the best intentions, find myself in a position that I just shouldn't be in. And then afterwards I look back and I go, oh, well, they said this and I said that and that was wrong and blah, blah, blah. And then at a certain point, as happened to me earlier today, I just went, hang on. The real problem is I fell out of integrity with myself the second that I continued past a certain point, and dissecting anything on from there is irrelevant. What I need to do is identify what led up to that point so that next time in future, I can recognize those cues more and more readily, so that if I notice that I'm going to fall out of integrity, I back out and I go, no. And had I done that today, Had my friend done this in his interaction with this long wall of text and said, no, that's my line, that's where I back out, we would have both been feeling better about ourselves, our lives, and our days. This brings me to the end of today's video. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. And if this resonated, I appreciate it. And I'd love to hear what it was that resonated, but more importantly, for your own sake, write in the comments below how you intend to use this. What are some of the cues that you can think of from a recent moment in your life where you fell out of integrity? What are some things you identified? And write them down for your own sake so that you can better avoid falling into those unhelpful patterns next time. Thank you again. My name is Jack. I make a new video every single day. So if you like this, you want to see what I talk about tomorrow, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.